Age isn't something to hide, it's an asset. When it comes to interactions, especially with younger men, your experience, confidence, and self awareness aren't just attractive, they're magnetic. The truth is, you're not competing with youth. You're leading with what youth can't fake: wisdom, presence, and a deep sense of self worth. When you've lived through enough seasons of life, something shifts inside you that no one can take away. You stop relying on external validation to feel good about yourself, and you start carrying yourself with a quiet certainty that comes only from years of trial, error, and growth. Younger people may have the energy and the excitement of being new to the world, but confidence like yours isn't born overnight. It's the result of knowing your strengths and weaknesses, accepting them fully, and walking into any room with the assurance that you don't have to be the loudest voice to be the most influential presence. That kind of self-possession draws people in without you needing to work for it because it's real and grounded. This confidence doesn't come from ego or from trying to prove something. It comes from clarity about who you are and what you stand for. You've been tested, you've faced challenges, and you've survived situations that might have broken you before you had this inner strength. That history shows up in how you move through conversations, how you make decisions, and how you set boundaries. Younger men notice that steadiness even if they don't fully understand where it comes from, and that curiosity is part of what makes you so compelling. They're used to peers who are still figuring themselves out, so when they encounter someone who doesn't waver with every opinion in the room, it feels different and refreshing. Over time, you've learned that confidence isn't about being perfect, it's about being authentic. You don't hide your flaws, you own them, and that honesty makes you relatable while still keeping you elevated in the eyes of others. It's the difference between someone trying to impress and someone simply being impressive because they're at ease with themselves. You understand that your worth isn't tied to how others perceive you in a single moment, and that frees you from the constant performance younger people often feel trapped in. That freedom is magnetic because it's rare, and people are naturally drawn to what they can't easily find elsewhere. Confidence at your stage in life is also about knowing what you want and not settling for less. You're not chasing trends, you're not bending yourself into shapes to fit someone else's mold, and you're not afraid to walk away from situations that don't serve you. This decisiveness isn't harsh. It's rooted in self-respect. Younger men may not have seen much of that yet, so when they meet it in you, it leaves a lasting impression. They realize they can't play games or hide behind uncertainty because you'll see right through it, and that makes every interaction with you more intentional. Your confidence also gives you a different kind of presence. You don't need to dominate a space to own it, and you don't need constant reassurance to feel valued. You can sit back, observe, and still command attention simply because your energy is grounded. Younger men might not be able to articulate it, but they feel it, the sense that you're in control of yourself and your surroundings without trying too hard. It makes them want to rise to meet you at your level rather than pull you down to theirs. Years have taught you that confidence isn't loud, it's steady. It's in the way you listen without rushing to respond, the way you pause before speaking because you know your words carry weight, the way you enter a room without needing to announce yourself, yet somehow everyone notices. This is something that can't be faked because it's rooted in genuine self-belief built over time. Younger men often chase experiences to find this feeling, but you've already earned it. And that difference is something they can sense almost instantly. Confidence shaped by age is power because it can't be given, only built. Every mistake you've made, every lesson you've learned, and every victory you've had has contributed to the unshakable self-assurance you carry today. It's not about arrogance. It's about knowing that you've been through enough to trust yourself completely. And when you trust yourself, others can't help but trust you too. That's why, around younger men, your confidence doesn't just stand out. It changes the dynamic entirely because they see in you a level of certainty and calm they haven't yet reached. And it makes them realize that real confidence isn't about youth at all, but about the depth and stability that only comes with time. Experience is one of those things you can't rush, and it's the reason you can walk into situations younger people might find overwhelming and handle them with calm precision. You've had enough conversations, enough challenges, enough unexpected twists in life to know that reacting impulsively rarely gets you the best outcome. That kind of emotional control doesn't come from reading advice or watching someone else do it. It comes from living it, from making mistakes, from learning firsthand where patience pays off and where it doesn't. Younger men may have sharp instincts, but without the foundation of lived experience, it's easy for emotions to run the show. And when they're around you, they feel the steadiness that comes from years of practice in keeping perspective. You've seen how people react under stress, how relationships change over time, how first impressions can be misleading, and how important it is to listen before making a move. This kind of insight gives you a quiet advantage in interactions because you're not operating from a place of guessing. You're drawing on a mental library of real moments that have shaped your judgment. When a conversation takes a sharp turn or someone tries to provoke you, you're not easily thrown off because you've already been through worse and learned how to navigate it. Younger men notice this difference, even if they can't quite explain it, and it intrigues them because it's not something they can pick up overnight. Experience also sharpens your intuition. You can read the subtext in someone's tone, see the hesitation behind a smile, or recognize the confidence behind silence. You've learned that communication is as much about what's not said as it is about the words spoken, and that awareness lets you connect on a deeper level. Younger men may find this fascinating because it feels like you can see right through them, not in a judgmental way, but in a way that makes them feel understood without having to over-explain themselves. That ability to tune into people without effort is a skill only time can refine. Over the years, you've also learned how to choose your battles. You don't waste energy trying to win every argument or prove a point just for the sake of being right. You've learned to recognize when silence is stronger than speaking, when walking away is smarter than staying, and when listening is more powerful than interrupting. This restraint is rare, especially in a world where quick reactions are encouraged, and younger men often find it both grounding and challenging to be around someone who won't be baited into emotional chaos. Your ability to stay centered changes the way they interact with you because they quickly realize they can't get the upper hand through drama. With experience comes a level of adaptability that makes you resilient in almost any setting. You know that plans don't always work out, people don't always act the way you expect, and life will throw you curveballs whether you're ready or not. That adaptability makes you resourceful, able to adjust without losing your composure. Younger men may still be learning how to handle uncertainty, but being around you shows them what it looks like to roll with life's punches without letting it define your mood or your self-worth. You've also developed a strong sense of self-awareness through experience. You know your strengths and limitations, and you're not afraid to admit when you're wrong or when you don't know something. That humility combined with capability is what makes you trustworthy and relatable. Younger men are drawn to that balance because it shows them that strength isn't about pretending to have all the answers, but about being secure enough to learn and grow without feeling threatened. Ultimately, experience turns you into someone who doesn't just survive challenges, but learns from them. You've built a reservoir of wisdom that you can draw from in any situation, and that gives you a confidence that's deeper than appearance, status, or charm. Younger men can sense that difference. It's in the way you listen, the way you respond, and the way you carry yourself with the quiet assurance of someone who has lived, learned, and come out stronger every time, making your presence both grounding and unforgettable. Self-awareness is the kind of power that doesn't need to shout because it's already deeply rooted inside you. It's knowing your patterns, your triggers, your strengths, and your blind spots so well that you move through the world with intentionality instead of guesswork. You've spent enough years learning who you are to no longer be swayed by every passing opinion or trend, and that stability is something people, especially younger men, notice almost immediately. When they see you interact, they sense sense that you're not performing for approval or bending yourself to fit into their expectations. And that kind of authenticity is rare enough to stand out without you even trying. Self-awareness gives you a kind of presence that makes people slow down and pay attention because they can feel that you're fully at ease in your own skin. You've learned to recognize not just how you feel, but why you feel it. That kind of inner clarity means you don't get stuck in emotional reactions you later regret, and you're able to respond in ways that actually serve the situation instead of making it worse. This isn't about being cold or detached. It's about understanding yourself so well that you can choose your responses rather than letting circumstances choose them for you. Younger men who might still be figuring out their own emotional landscape often find this both intriguing and challenging because it sets a higher standard for how they communicate and carry themselves. Being around someone so in tune with themselves naturally shifts the energy in the room. Self-awareness also means you can set boundaries without guilt and express your needs without fear. You know what drains you, what energizes you, and what doesn't deserve your time, and you act accordingly. Younger men are often used to people who overextend themselves to please others or who avoid uncomfortable conversations. So when you handle things directly but respectfully, it's a new experience for them. They see that strength doesn't have to be aggressive, and assertiveness can actually be graceful. Your ability to maintain your own center while still showing empathy is a skill that only develops when you've put in the work to understand yourself at a deep level. Over the years, you've also learned how to own your flaws instead of hiding them. You don't pretend to be someone you're not because you've realized that people connect more deeply to honesty than to perfection. Younger men often find this refreshing because it creates space for real, unfiltered interaction. It takes the pressure off the constant need to impress, and instead, it invites authenticity from both sides. By modeling that kind of openness, you indirectly challenge them to drop any masks they might be wearing, and that can make your connection feel more genuine and rare. Being self-aware also changes the way you carry yourself in social dynamics. You're not easily intimidated, and you don't seek validation from every interaction. You can enjoy conversations without forcing them, and you can walk away without resentment when they don't serve you. That independence is deeply attractive because it communicates that you are whole and complete on your own. Younger men, consciously or not, pick up on the fact that your interest in them is a choice, not a need. And that shifts the balance of power in a way that makes you all the more intriguing. Through self-awareness, you've developed a deep sense of accountability. You don't just point fingers when things go wrong, you reflect on your role and make adjustments. This maturity is rare, and it builds trust quickly because people know you won't deflect responsibility or play games. Younger men, in particular, aren't used to this level of emotional honesty, and it makes them respect you even before they realize why. Your willingness to own both your strengths and your shortcomings shows a level of self-mastery that can't be faked and can't be rushed. What makes self-awareness so powerful is that it allows you to navigate relationships from a place of choice rather than insecurity. You're not afraid to be alone because you enjoy your own company, and that removes any sense of desperation from your interactions. Younger men feel that they know they can't manipulate you with flattery or attention because you don't rely on them to feel valuable. This independence, combined with your clarity about who you are and what you want, creates a presence that commands respect without ever demanding it, making you stand out in a way that's impossible to ignore. Maturity changes the entire way you show up in relationships and interactions because it shifts your focus from chasing to choosing. You've lived long enough to know that your time and energy are valuable, and you're not in the business of giving them away just to prove your worth. Younger men are used to a dynamic where attention is a game of pursuit, but when they meet you, they're faced with someone who doesn't play by those rules. You don't compete for approval because you understand that the right people will recognize your value without you having to convince them. This approach flips the usual script and forces them to meet you at a level where respect and effort are the standard, not an afterthought. With maturity comes a deeper understanding of what actually matters and what doesn't deserve space in your life. You no longer get pulled into meaningless drama or temporary validation because you've learned that those things drain you without giving anything of real value in return. You don't react just to react. You choose your responses based on whether they align with your values and your peace. Younger men might not have experienced this kind of measured, intentional energy before, and it draws them in because it feels solid and dependable compared to the unpredictability they may be used to. Your maturity becomes a grounding force in interactions, one that subtly challenges them to elevate how they engage with you. One of the most noticeable ways maturity shifts the dynamic is in how you handle challenges and conflict. You don't see disagreement as a threat to your worth or as a reason to fight for dominance. Instead, you approach it with perspective, focusing on solutions rather than ego battles. This makes your presence refreshing because you can hold space for honest discussion without spiraling into defensiveness or pettiness. Younger men often find this both disarming and inspiring because it's a type of emotional steadiness they may not have fully developed yet. It shows them that strength isn't about overpowering someone, but about staying calm and clear-headed even when the situation gets tense. Your maturity also shapes the way you express interest and affection. You don't overextend yourself to win someone over, and you don't withhold just to maintain control. Instead, you're balanced, generous with your time and attention when it's deserved, but unafraid to step back when it's not reciprocated. This balance makes every interaction with you intentional rather than reactive. Younger men often find themselves working harder to earn your attention because they can feel that it's given with purpose, not handed out indiscriminately. That difference makes them value it more when they have it. Because of your maturity, you've also developed the patience to let relationships unfold naturally instead of forcing them to meet a timeline. You're not rushing to lock things down out of fear of losing someone, and that ease can be magnetic. Younger men who may be used to faster, more superficial connections often find themselves slowing down in your presence without even realizing it. They start investing more thought and care into how they show up because they sense that you move with intention and expect the same in return. This slower, deeper pace creates space for connection that feels real instead of rushed. Maturity also gives you the ability to lead without making it about control. You can guide a situation or influence a tone without needing to dominate the other person. You're able to create an environment where people feel comfortable opening up while still maintaining the standards that protect your well-being. Younger men, when around this type of energy, tend to rise to meet it because they respect the steadiness and structure it provides. They start mirroring your calm and your thoughtfulness, which changes the dynamic from casual interaction to something more meaningful. The biggest shift maturity creates is that you no longer see your value as negotiable. You're not afraid to walk away from situations that don't meet your standards, not because you're dismissive, but because you've learned the cost of staying where you're not valued. Younger men quickly pick up on this, and it changes the way they approach you. They know they can't take your attention for granted, and that awareness pushes them to be more intentional. Your maturity makes you the one setting the pace, the tone, and the standard in the connection, and that difference is something they can feel from the very first interaction. The life you've lived has given you a depth that can't be manufactured, and that depth shows in ways you might not even realize. Every challenge you've overcome, every choice you've made, every chapter you've closed has shaped you into someone layered and multifaceted. Younger men, whether consciously or not, can sense that there's more to you than what they see at first glance. They're drawn in by the intrigue of someone who has stories, insights, and perspectives they haven't encountered before. That curiosity is powerful because it keeps them engaged beyond the surface, wanting to learn more about the person behind the presence you carry.